Right, welcome everyone to the I Am Hunter podcast. We've got Robert Borsak here from the Shooters, Fishers, Farmers Party, Robert Borsak MLC, member of the Legislative Council and leader of the SFFP. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
Good to be here. It's good to have you here. Good to have you here. So I guess we're going to ask you a couple of questions today. A lot of it, or some of it's going to be around hunting, some of it's going to be around politics. And by all means, go for your life. Answer as you see fit. And hopefully the podcast will take a life of its own. First of all, how about you tell us a bit about yourself and your background, and how you got involved, I guess, in all of this.
Well, I suppose if you go right back, I mean, I didn't have the luck, I suppose, or the opportunity really as a boy to get involved at all in the bush. And my parents came to Australia. I was born in Australia, but I was an urban kid. In Sydney, and I really, it's funny you talk about it because I actually went and revisited my old high school a couple of weeks ago on Friday, and I went to the library where I actually saw my first outdoors magazine. And that's really what got me going on a bit of fishing and a bit of hunting and all those sorts of things. But prior to that, I was in the Scouts. My father, one of the first things he did was put my brother and I into scouting because he was at Scouts when he was in Poland when he was a boy. And he said, you really need to get involved. You've got to understand what the bush is. You want to go out there and all sort of things. And so I went right through scouting, got my Queen Scout, Duke of Edinburgh Award and all that sort of thing. But I sort of wandered away from that. Funnily enough, of course, my wife is actually still tied up in it because I met her actually in scouting.
Right.
We were well, when you become adult scouts anyway, but I was a scouter and she was as well. But anyway, the long and the short of it is I started a bit of skin diving, a bit of spearfishing. That's how I really got started. I made my own spears, I made my own, had all the stuff. Used to, but I didn't have any money like any young, sort of 13 or 14 year old. I had nothing, so I would try, but not do very well. And I didn't have the gear to get down really deep to try and get those big cod or whatever they were. I could see them, but I couldn't get at them. Anyway, and I suppose it evolved through high school. One of my friends at school, his father had a property down the south coast, and I went and bought my first shotgun, I think when I was probably 15.
You started off with a shotgun.
Shooting rabbits. And his father had a 303 and we used to shoot anything and everything around the place with a 303, whether it was kangaroos or wallabies or something. And we used to do a whole lot of long walks and long hunts, but mostly it was rabbits we were shooting. And a few foxes in those days. And we would occasionally, I bought a 22 and I sort of evolved through that process. And I think when I was about 19, I started getting interested in deer hunting. And I thought, well, how do you do that? In New South Wales in those days, there's no public land hunting. A boy from the city who doesn't know much on the land that's got deer, what do you do? So in the end, I joined the New South Wales Deer Stalkers Association, which was probably the only one in those days that was floating around. I think the ADA in Victoria was there, but they didn't have a branch in New South Wales in those days. And in fact, I also had a Labrador, and I joined the Field and Game Association too, but I didn't have the money or the gear to get around with those guys, and they were pretty insular. They weren't really interested in bringing young guys on, as far as I was concerned. So I had a Labrador Retriever, but I actually joined the Labrador Retriever Club, but again, it was in Victoria. It wasn't here in New South Wales. So anyway, the long and the short of it is I ended up hunting deer up around Glen Innes, and I sort of evolved from there. 1982, I was a foundation member of Safari Club in Australia. Australia South Pacific Chapter. By about 1990, 91, I was the president of it. And that's sort of how my sort of almost political involvement got a bit involved. We worked very hard trying to lobby. We actually paid lobbyists. We went to Canberra a couple of times trying to get people to listen to us, and I got thrown out of some of the best offices in Canberra in those days. Ros Kelly, for example. I remember we turned up there with a Labor Party lobbyist, and she said, "I don't talk to people like you, go away."
Right.
Yeah, that was what she said. So I thought, thank you very much for nothing. So I thought, and then John Tingle formed the party in 92. I think I found out about it through the Sporting Shooter magazine or something like that, and I joined pretty early. By 95 I was chairman of the party. John got elected in 95. That's sort of how it evolved. I never actually ever wanted to actually go into Parliament to do the politics. I was always happy because I had another life. I'm an accountant by profession and a businessman, so I've still got business interests. Then 99 I sort of got out of it for a while. Then by 2002 I retired into semi-retirement anyway. By 2003 I was back on the committee of the party again, and by 2004 I was chairman again.
Right.
So that's what happens. Again, I had a grand old time between 2002 and 2010. In 2007 I got Roy Smith, in those days was the CEO of the SSAA in New South Wales.
Okay.
Really good guy. We had our ups and downs with the SSAA over the years, but he really was a good bloke. You could talk to him, he understood how it worked. I nominated him to come on board as our second, potentially our second member in the upper house there, and basically because he came on, I suppose there was a focus on it amongst the shooting fraternity in New South Wales, and he got elected.
Okay.
He got elected with a very good vote. Yeah. And what happened after that? Then I prior to that, John Tingle retired in 2006. I nominated Robert Brown to come on board. Robert had done a lot of hard and good work around public land hunting and the Game Council in New South Wales.
Yeah.
And between all the years, he worked very, very hard. And between him and Tingle, they got the thing off the ground. The program went live in 2006 based on 2002, 2003 legislation.
Yep.
And that was a major watershed in New South Wales, because what it did was it gave the opportunity for hunters to be able to, people who wanted to take up hunting who didn't have the involvement, just as I didn't in the early days, to go in and buy a licence, go online, book a hunt, and or go into a public land. And that process, even though we had that scumbag O'Farrell destroy the Game Council in 2013, the reality is that program's still running, it's still successful, and it's still operating very well to this day. Forest New South Wales, it's running in state forests and other Crown land. They pay nothing for their feral animal control. But what happens, of course, is hunters come out of the city, they go to the bush and spend a lot of money there.
Absolutely.
And also do the right thing. They shoot foxes, they shoot rabbits, they shoot deer, you name it. They do
pigs and goats and everything else.
Pigs and goats.
I grew up in New South Wales myself, so
you know what it's all about. Roy suddenly died in overnight in 2010. And it was in August or September, and no, it was in August, I think it was, or it might have been late July. We had an AGM in August. I actually had a hunt booked to go to Africa in September. And I haven't covered it, but I've done a lot of African hunting and North American hunting over the years as well. Basically through the Safari Club stuff. But Roy suddenly and unfortunately passed away, and the party asked me to take over, and I was chairman at the time. So I thought about it. I thought, I'll give it a go. So that's actually what happened. And so in September, after I came back from Zimbabwe, I went over there elephant hunting again. I was sworn in, and I've been in Parliament ever since.
Right. Wow. Okay. Excellent.
And that's how I got to where I am today. I did not intend ever to step into the Parliament itself. It was just more a support role I was always interested in.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks very much for that. But before we go on much further, you mentioned elephant hunting, and I wanted to bring up something that I've heard about, and this was about you talking about eating elephant, and you presented this in Parliament, or mentioned this in Parliament. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. We had one of the Greens in there was a singular failure. He served one term and got lost out in the last election in March this year. Jeremy Buckingham, he always thought he was a clever Green, but of course he was a dumb Green like most of them. and I never look, what most of these people don't realise is I put it out there. I released all the photos of my elephant hunting back in 2009. I put them on John Hahn's Nitro Express website. And then when the media came and said to me, "What are you doing about hunting?" I thought, okay, I pointed them at it, and that's how the whole thing got started. It wasn't anything secret. I actually released it because I want people to talk about it. I'm quite happy for people to have a go at me. I'm quite happy for all of that because I want people engaged. and for every idiot out there that reads the green propaganda, there'll be at least 5 or 6 people say, well, what's really behind this? And
that's right.
And they'll go and have a look at the conservation benefits of all these things.
Yeah.
As far as that was concerned, that was something he said in Parliament. He said, "Oh, I suppose you eat them, do you?" And I said, "Of course I do." I said, "Why would you waste good meat?" Or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, the media picked up on it, and it got a life of its own. I think that's even better. I think later on I said to him, "Well, they make good sausage too."
But I mean, the fact is that even with elephants and all of those animals over there, if you don't eat them yourself, if you've hunted them, they still get eaten.
Well, absolutely right. I mean, I've shot 8 elephants over the years, and they're literally a smear on the ground within 12 hours. They're gone because the people there utilise them. The skins, every part of it's utilised, even the marrow and the bone. And they're still not killing enough elephants in the areas where they're overpopulated, like Kruger, like Awangi, parts of the Zambezi Valley. I could rattle them all off.
Parts of Botswana as well.
Botswana, they're just dying now because they're literally destroying their own habitat.
It's certainly interesting that. What does it taste like, by the way? I haven't eaten elephant myself, so.
Tastes like steak to me.
Like most other meat,
All I know is it's very, very tough. Just like any, they make biltong out of it. It's just meat. That's all as far as I'm concerned.
Love to taste elephant biltong. We have our own biltong recipe, which we've put like a little Australian, swing on it. So we use Vegemite in it, and it's so good. It is so amazing.
I've done a lot of compared to some friends of mine. I haven't done a lot of elephant hunting, but some of the guys go every year, and that's what they do, and they really enjoy it, and I really enjoy it too. But I find I get back and want to do some other things, so I go back and do other types of hunting over there as well.
It's funny because when I didn't work here and I worked somewhere else, we were going on a trip to Africa, and everyone was fine with it that I worked with. They were all like, "Oh, that sounds great." They knew I was going hunting, but the one thing they said to me was, "Oh, you're not going to hunt elephant or giraffe, are you?" It's like, but what's the difference between hunting an elephant or a giraffe to hunting an antelope?
No, again, this is just cultural nonsense. It's like someone says, like the Greens tried to introduce a bill into Parliament 2 weeks ago, saying, the animal justice people, the animal rights people said, we're going to introduce a bill to make it illegal to eat dogs and cats. Well, I mean. It's just purely cultural. If a Chinese person or someone else, Vietnamese, wants to eat a cat or a dog, I know Aboriginal people in Central Australia eat cats. What's wrong with that? I mean, if I wanted to eat, what did they do down in the Antarctic when they were starving? They ate their dogs and the livers, poisoned them, but they ate them.
Well, it's putting more value on one animal than another animal, and I don't think there's a point in doing that. It's
a strange urban icon that's really been promoted to death. I mean, I even I'm standing for the board, funnily enough, of the Polish club at the moment. There's in Asheville. There's a Polish community club, and they asked me to stand for the board, and I said I would. And then there was actually a silly woman that actually sent an email out saying, "Did you realise this man eats elephants?"
Amongst other things.
Well,
that's not late.
Hello. I mean, join the real world, you fool.
It's interesting because in the West we have categories of protein. And which doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
No, it's pretty strange. You see Peter put those ads up in North America too, where along the continuum you draw a line here, and everything on the right side you eat, everything on the left you don't. Well, I'd actually, if I had to, I'd put the line at the very end, because if I had to, I'd eat the bloody lot. It's just a matter of how hungry you are.
Depends on how desperate you are at the time.
That's right.
And the value of the resource as well. I mean, at the end of the day, places like Africa especially, where a lot of people here have an opinion about, but they haven't actually experienced. They don't actually know what those.
But even the opinion's not well found.
It also kind of shows the privilege of people that live here as well, and in first world countries, because people in Africa they don't care what it is. If it's food, it's food. And so they'll eat it. But here it's like, oh no, you can't eat that. No, that's a majestic animal. It's like,
well, that's the whole exactly right. I mean, it's a stupid, and that's taken to the logical. It's or illogical extreme, with vegans who say, well, you shouldn't eat any animal. Why? Because it's sentient? Or so what? How do we get to where we are?
I've had this discussion myself many times with a number of them that, I mean, probably the majority of the hunting we do each year is crop protection based. We hunt on a number of farms here, and we shoot wallabies, kangaroos, deer, possums. And we shoot a lot of them. And the ones like for the most part, the wallabies, some of the kangaroos will go to dog meat, but a lot of the kangaroos will take the meat out of those. The deer we definitely take the meat out of, but there's always like the possums and all this other, and it's crop protection. You're keeping them off crops. When you're doing this, your sulphur-crested cockatoos are another one. Your certain ducks, and things like this. At certain times of the year outside of the season, we've got permits for that. And those things, yes, we take them and we use them, but we don't have to. The permits don't specify that we have to. We just do that because we enjoy that part of it.
Well, that raises the other thing too. I mean, people, like, you're supposed to somehow rather feel guilty because you're killing something. Well, I mean, to me, life and death's a continuum.
Yeah.
And I'm going to die one day. I mean, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get stamped by an elephant.
Yeah.
And that'll give the greenies and all the rest of the animal rights people a great bit of joy.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, it's just part of what you do.
Yeah.
You'll be alive one day, you'll be dead another day. That's the way it is. Who really cares? If something eats me, that's fine. That's it. It's the circle of life and death.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as Walt Disney. Life in perpetuity and all sweet. And, it's nonsensical. But it's the ever increasing urbanisation of society is what's creating this and making it worse and worse. But
that and the Disneyfied, that kind of glamorization of animals being somehow human,
Well, that's right. It's creating giving them human.
Anthropomorphism.
Yeah, anthropomorphism. That's right. Yeah. But look, I think that's a key part of what we do. That's part of where we link into the farming side of things, where we link into the fishing side of things as well.
Yeah.
To try to bring people back to some sort of sense of reality.
So maybe that's a good segue. Tell us, how does the party itself, integrate with those three communities? Because in some ways they're separate, and in some ways they're the same. I fish and I hunt, and I also I grew up on farms. Not everyone's like that. We do crop protection on farms and stuff like this, but there are differing opinions between what the farmer needs, what a hunter feels they need, what a fisherman feels they need, and things like this. So
look, I think there's the party started as a shooters party.
Yeah,
it's a party fundamentally of freedom.
Yeah,
that's where it started.
Yeah,
and 1992, long before Howard got involved with his gun laws.
Yeah,
and it was because of what was happening in New South Wales at the time too.
Right.
As a reaction to the ever increasing involvement of government in the sport of hunting, the cultural activity of hunting and the sport of pistol shooting.
Yeah.
Because John Tingle in those days was primarily a pistol shooter.
Yeah.
And they were just making it harder and harder and worse and worse. And over time, we found that the involvement of people in our branches, there was a very large, and I'm a fisho as well, crossover between fishos. And we had over a number of years, the proposals put up at the annual general meeting that we should introduce fishing.
Yeah.
Look, in the end, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a hunter or a shooter, you will never be more than about 4% of the population.
Yeah.
That's what it gets down to. So it gets down to hard knocks politics. Do you want to stay a fringe group?
Yeah. Or
do you want to actually build something that's going to have some influence and the opportunity to change the political direction of this country?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we decided at one of those AGMs, one of those annual conferences, we had a debate. We decided, this is worth doing. So we brought the fishing side in.
Yeah.
And we've advocated and worked very hard, even as late as August last year in New South Wales. The Removed from Reality Coalition government decided they were effectively going to ban recreational fishing in New South Wales coastal waters by creating 23 new marine parks. Now, we campaigned, I led the campaign against it, and they folded like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's 500, 600,000 licensed fishos in New South Wales.
Yeah.
I might add, the fishos are not very engaged.
Yeah.
But because I've always taken it for granted, we can just go down the local pier, or we can go down
and
take a boat out and have a fish.
Yeah.
But they don't understand, and maybe after that campaign in New South Wales, I don't know that it's as bad in Tasmania and other places yet.
Yeah.
But the reality
Tassie's getting that way, believe me.
The gentrification of society will get you that way, especially when you start seeing competition between the Greens and the animal rights people.
Yeah.
You'll see the Greens become more extreme, even in places like this.
Yeah.
So we introduced the fishing side. We've seen a gradual building of our votes over the years, and our focus always was in the upper house of Parliament, because in the New South Wales, that was seen to be an easier run for us. And of course, we ended up with 2 members after 2007. We've still got 2 members now in the upper house. Then in 2016, after the 2015 election, state election in New South Wales, we actually did have some members of our party that were turning up at conferences and saying, well, you should think about doing something for farmers, and these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
And they talked about various things around native vegetation. They talked about water issues. They talked about other restrictions and controls that state government was putting on farmers and farming in New South Wales.
Yeah.
The animal right related issues weren't featuring at that stage. There was a little bit of stuff talked about in relation to live exports and things like that, but the animal rights people hadn't really started to assert themselves yet.
Yeah.
I mean, not like you're seeing now. And so after the state election in 2015, we did a little bit of testing, and we thought, well, we can see a logical extension, especially after representations we had in New South Wales from New South Wales farmers, that they should do something, or that we should consider doing something to help farmers on native vegetation law, for example.
Yeah.
And then that sort of morphed itself into, well, maybe we should actually talk to and introduce farming and farmers as part of our interest groups, because it is a much larger, and that again, that's another political decision. We knew that farmers and farming were having problems with the city-based so-called nationals, and to a lesser degree the Liberals. The Liberals, of course, call the shots in that coalition, but we didn't realise actually how bad and how much on the nose the Nationals were in the bush, certainly in New South Wales. I mean, in New South Wales, before the last state election, they started with about 17 or 18 seats. They're down to about 13 now.
Yeah, wow.
So, and we've taken 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that's really how it goes, I mean, I think we've probably come to the end of our putting extensions on our name. But the commonality to the whole thing is the bush.
Yeah, okay.
And as a shooter, even though I've never been a farmer, but I'm a hunter and I'm a gatherer, I understand conservation from that point of view. I'm not a protectionist like the Greens are. There's plenty to fight against, and there's plenty to fight for with farmers and farming, especially in New South Wales. The water issue is really what's sparked the really big fight, certainly in New South Wales, and the development of the issues around the bastardisation of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, for example. I won't bore you with the detail of that now, but the reality is that an irrigation system that was set up for over 100 years ago, now has as its primary purpose not irrigating, but environmental flows.
Yeah.
Now that can only be because the major parties, including the Nationals, have sold out to city vote Greens, whether that's in South Australia, Victoria, and in New South Wales. So, and that's why, as recent as last night, you had the Prime Minister and the Minister for Water making big play of the fact that they're going to sell cheaply 100, I think, megalitres of water from South Australia back into the New South Wales market to try to buy some support. It's not going to work. Not going to work.
It's interesting how all these power plays carry on, and how one of the things that is kind of concerning, as you touched on it a little bit before, about some people being in our communities, whether it's hunting, fishing or farming, being kind of disengaged with what's happening, on their front. And if I were just to make an example, especially in the fishing world, fishing's kind of easy to do. Unless you want to go big game fishing, you can kind of quickly grab a rod, chuck it in the back of the car, run down to the local, whatever, the beach or whatever, and flick, and start flicking in a lure.
Well, they
or
would
whatever.
have made that illegal in New South Wales.
Yeah, and this is my point. But the ease of it makes it kind of a little bit. It's like it's no problem. I'll always be able to do that kind of thing, you know. Where so you don't have to really plan it to do it, you know. You just chuck your rods in the car, away you go. Where hunting is obviously way more planned for the most part. You need to know where you're going, what you're going to do, how long you're going to be there, all that kind of stuff. Yep. And farming, of course, is absolutely planned. You have to plan this from start to finish, or you're going to fail, you know. But what's interesting is the common disengagement within you know a number of those communities, all three of those communities at times, with what's happening to their access.
Yes.
And what's happening to the licensing conditions around their access.
Yep.
You know, and how much, for me, what I look at and what's important to me is I want subsistence capability. I want to be able to go and shoot and hunt and fish my own food. And I like that part of it. I really enjoy that. I love having, you know, and as you can see, you know, we got trophies on the walls and stuff like this, and I love being able to hunt something that's really cool, and you know, I can put that on my wall as a representation of something that we've done and achieved, you know, and been a part of that hunt. But the most of it is about subsistence, you know, and that kind of, you know, having meat and having our own thing to be able to do, and sharing that with others as well. Yeah. And that's the part of it that, you know, while the Australian government might say tomorrow, we're not going to allow trophies to come back into the country or whatever else, like the British government is about to do, you know, or trying to do it at right as we speak.
We've seen the Australian government do it going right back as far as hawk. I mean,
exactly.
They banned all elephant products coming into Australia. You know, this was going to protect elephants. Well, hello.
Exactly.
What good has it done? No, it's done purely for political purposes, and it's
it
recently
doesn't stop them starving
either.
Same
with cats as well. All the cat species and stuff like that. You can't.
You can't bring leopards in. You can't now. They ban lions. You know, because you know, Minister Hunt told me, we can't tell which ones are legal and which ones aren't. Well, you know, which ones were shot in pens and which weren't. And I told him, I said, that's just a cop out, mate. You know it. At the end of the day, this was all about getting Jason Wood re-elected. That's what that was all about. So they're prepared to sacrifice good conservation for one lousy seat. And we see this all the time with these people. We see it all. Labor, Liberal, Nationals all do the same. It's not so it wasn't until we actually got ourselves involved in the latest election, or certainly going back from 2016, there were a number of issues involved, and I resolved then to push the party into the lower house, because we've been sitting in the upper house of New South Wales, a bit of a lottery. You go from one election every 4 years to the next, whether you're going to have any influence or not. And even if you have influence, and we found that out with this in New South Wales, the coalition government coming in 2011, after 16 years of Labor, where they pretty much destroyed the timber industry by declaring declaring environmental areas, declaring marine parks, declaring national parks. This wipe out the timber industry. So we had some influence in the upper house in the first 4 years. We had none in the next 4 years. That's the last 2 terms. They're into their 3rd term now, and the deals we did with them to try to get some stuff done in the first 4 years, where we had the balance of power in the upper house, they reneged on. They just lied. And you know, to me as a new politician, I only started there literally 6 months before they won government. I thought, there's an education for you. We ain't going to repeat that under my watch. So the first opportunity we really had to run for a lower house seat was the seat of Orange came up for by-election in towards the end of 2016. And we campaigned very hard in that election with the help of some of the media jocks in Sydney, and we won the seat of Orange by 56 votes. And that was a first lower house seat we've ever won, and it surprised me as much as everybody else. So, and that was, we had the farmers' name in there. We put farmers in April. We campaigned in November, but it was really done on the back of the government announced that they were going to ban greyhound racing in 2015. Just like that overnight. Within 12 months, Baird got on Facebook and said, "You're all gone. You're all despicable. Bugger off. You're all cruel. Go away." And of course, he lost his premiership over it. We won our first seat. There was a couple of other major issues of high-handed approach to governance that he had, which hurt them in the polls, and that was a sort of start for us. We won our first seat. They didn't take us seriously. They convinced themselves they were going to win the seat back at this election that we had this year.
Yeah.
But Phil Donato, who's the member there, won by a massive majority of 65% two-party preferred.
Yeah.
That was coming off a base of 56 votes. That's all in 2016.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we also campaigned very hard with the excellent team that Philip runs and leads. We won another 2 seats, and we ran in, I think, 23 or 25 seats in the lower house, and we won 2, and we renewed Orange, so we had 3 lower house seats, whereas 3 years ago we had 0.
Yeah.
So that's why you're seeing the panic in the face of the Nationals in New South Wales, and you're actually now, for the first time, I've seen the whites of the eyes of the Prime Minister, because he's talking about giving or selling cheap water.
Yeah.
But of course, what they're doing is too little, too late.
Yeah.
The whole Murray-Darling Basin plan needs to be dumped, revised, and put back to what it was originally created for, and that was agriculture.
Agricultural irrigation. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. A little bit of a segue. Trophy hunter, or trophy hunting. So we talked about like subsistence and stuff, and obviously that's something that I've really enjoyed. But also we have trophies on the wall, and one of the things that I've seen, or certainly we've seen, both as a business and as a like presenting advocacy as well, as part of our business, is this kind of real anti-flow against trophy. This word trophy. And it gets up my nose, because I sit there and I watch people go and buy $1,000 handbag that's leather.
Well, that's not a trophy?
It is.
Or buy a diamond ring, that's not a trophy?
Yep. Leather shoes, leather in your car, all this kind of stuff. They'll eat Italian salami,
bracelet, that's not a trophy.
Which has generally got pony in it,
something though that even hunters themselves have convinced themselves that it's a bad thing. Like, I've had hunters come up saying, "Oh no, I did it for meat. I didn't do it for the trophy." And it's like, but what's the difference? The meat is a trophy.
I actually started the other way. I was a total and complete converted trophy hunter. That's all I ever did. I used to take some meat.
Yeah.
But I didn't make salamis. I didn't make, I'd take back straps and some hind legs.
Yeah.
But my primary concern was trying to find an old stag to shoot that had a good head.
Yeah.
And I've got probably 60 or 80 trophies in my house.
Yeah.
I've got the stage where I can hardly fill up the walls anymore. But my 2 boys, ever since they were 5 or 6, were hunting with me, and over time we evolved. I suppose when I was involved with the Game Council back in the early 2000s is when Brian Boyle was the CEO, and he said, "Robert, you've got to think more about eating meat, eating the animals." And I said, "Well, I always do." He said, "Yeah, but you've got to go more 100%.
Yeah.
Not 50% or something. I always used to take the choice cuts. I always used to take the choice cuts.
Yeah.
And nothing else,
Yeah.
But it's interesting because if you're going to utilise an animal, you should utilise, and I've evolved and changed my thinking on it. You should utilise the whole animal.
Yeah.
And if it's a good trophy, great. If it's not, don't worry about it. Just take the whole animal and utilise the whole animal. Whether it's the skin, whether it's the antlers, it doesn't matter what it is, what part of it is. I mean, we eat a lot of the organs in our place. We eat a lot of deer livers.
Yeah.
I love heart.
Yeah.
Kidneys, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. You should try it. The heart especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had. I love heart. I like it better than backstraps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you cook it up with really some bacon and some butter and onion, and it's
fantastic.
amazing.
Fantastic. Well, I've introduced a lot of people to it, and then once they get started, they can't leave it alone. It hasn't got the same taste as a kidney, for example, but it's still very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, I'm an avid trophy hunter. I still am to this day.
Yeah.
At the end of this month, I'm going to go to Canada, to Saskatchewan, whitetail hunting.
Yeah, right.
So do a late season whitetail hunt in the snow. So
fantastic.
We'll see how it goes.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah. What's what's your favourite thing to hunt?
A lot of people ask me that question.
Yeah.
I I like everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no hunting I don't like,
mm-hmm.
including fishing.
Yeah.
But I think mountain hunting is what I really like doing. So I like. I've done quite a bit of over the years tahr hunting in New Zealand. New Zealand is really a fantastic country for that sort of adventure, high country adventure hunting, especially tahr and chamois.
Yeah.
I've done some sheep hunting in North America, in Alaska and British Columbia.
Yeah.
Been very lucky. I've done some elk hunting there as well.
Yeah.
New Mexico. I think that I suppose from a favourites point of view, they're my favourites because it takes a fair bit of physical exertion to do it.
Yeah.
You need to stay reasonably fit.
Yeah.
I've done myself a bunch of injuries over the years. I've torn all my ligaments off my shoulder doing backpack hunts in New Zealand and things like that. But there's no replacement in my mind for as you're coming up to the ridge, just thinking, well, what's on the other side? What's on the other side?
Yeah.
And that's what's always kept me going.
Yeah.
I don't know, see, because when I was little, my parents always told me that I needed a bubble because I was that, like, prone to accidents. So mountain hunting for me is kind of like, oh, will I die? Like, it's a bit scary for me.
Well, I think that's part of it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's equally if you go elephant hunting too in the Jess, you can stretch your luck there too. A few times too many. Mountain hunting, New Zealand, it's really hard to. I think it's hard to better it. Put it that way. Especially if you do it the right way. You climb from the bottom up, and I've done a lot of tahr hunts over there over the years, and chamois hunts, and I was over there last year hunting red deer with Tom Jones, and that was good fun. While the stags are roaring.
We certainly love New Zealand. We go almost every year. In fact, for the last
3 years.
3 years, it's been every year. So,
is there an animal that you're still waiting to get, like that you really, really want to get?
Really want to get. There's lots of stuff I really would like to hunt. Well, it depends, I suppose, where you go. I mean, I've just come back. I was in Namibia again in October, and I've probably been in Namibia 4 or 5 times in the last 35 years. I went there for the first time in about 1982, I think it was. Yeah. And I was also in South Africa at that time. And then I didn't go back again until 2017 and realised how much I liked Namibia. And I took one of my sons with me, and I did a 10-day hunt there and a 10-day hunt in the Eastern Cape. There were some animals there that I suppose I'm a bit of a hunter and a collector too. So, you know, I've pretty much got most of the plains game. There are some of the dicks and other little bits and pieces that I haven't got. To go back on the theme of mountain hunting, I've got 2 out of the 4 North American wild sheep. The 4 major ones anyway. I've got a really good white sheep from New Zealand, from Alaska. Doll sheep. I've got a good bighorn as well. I hunted twice for stone sheep many years ago and didn't get one. So maybe what I really would like to do, and it all gets down to money these days because they're so expensive, is I want to have another crack at the stone sheep. And there are a few good places where you can go now where the quotas are really quite good. Although the prices, of course, are ridiculous compared to what it was when I was hunting. And a desert bighorn, I'd like to get one of those as well. And there's a couple nice places there, but the prices are just outrageous. I've got a 10-foot 2-inch brown bear, so I'm
so jealous.
I've done all right with that, but I've shot lions, leopards, Cape buffaloes, elephants. The only thing I haven't bothered with is rhinos. I could have shot a rhino in 1982 when I was over there. I could have shot I couldn't have shot, but I saw black rhinos in the Dandy in 1983. They're not there now, but they were in the wild in those days. Not that you could hunt them. So I could have shot a rhino in South Africa in 1982, but to me they weren't a trophy in the sense that they were wild. They were just based. People wanted a rhino, they shot a rhino. Well, I wasn't really all that interested in it. So I've pretty much shot all of those things that there is to shoot over the years. Most recently, I think again it gets back to the mountain theme. I'd be pretty keen to go into Central Asia and shoot some of the sheep there. If I had the opportunity, if that ever happens. What else is there?
Europe, Russia.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind. I've hunted in Europe. I've shot I used to go over there a bit because with my uncle. He died at the age of 92. He'd been a lifetime hunter in Poland.
Yeah.
He shot some nice red stags and roe deer and all that sort of stuff over the years. I think it was last time I was over there in Europe was 2000. Hunting was 2016. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
And I spent the last part of the trip. Went with my wife and I went to Glam's Castle where the Queen Mother was brought up and hunted roe deer on the estate.
Yeah, right.
That was really good. Yeah. I shot a bronze medal buck.
Yeah.
And an ordinary buck, but I got them both mounted on the wall at home. It's good.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, there's some Asian sheep, like snow sheep and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I would have got to Mongolia this year if I had a chance, but when I finally got to making inquiries about the 2 tags were available. They were sold already to a mate of mine. So I've shot. Got a good 12-point bull from New Mexico.
Yeah.
There's a few others. So, what else is there?
What's the scariest thing or scariest moment you've ever had while hunting?
Scariest.
Yeah.
Scariest moment. I fell off a mountain on the west coast of New Zealand.
Oh.
And that would be scary.
Yeah.
Our taxidermist in New Zealand did that this year, tail hunting.
Yeah.
He fell off a mountain.
Yeah.
He survived, but he fell a long way.
Well,
good 150 metres or something.
No, I didn't fall that far. I fell off a rock on one of the tributaries of the wild natives on the west coast.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a hold of myself and hold myself up. And I looked down and I was that far off the ground.
Oh, right. No, our taxidermist rolled down the hill. He basically fell into the shale. And just rolled and broke ribs, arm, collarbones, just really smashed himself. Really bad. Chopper flight out.
I think I've been pretty...
Like medevaced.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I was just trying to think. I've been pretty lucky overall. Look, the scariest things you can do if you're hunting dangerous game, really, I mean...
Yeah.
And like you say, in the mountains, if you're not careful, especially if it's a bit slippery and a bit cold, and it gets quite icy in New Zealand high up early in the morning, you've got to be very, very careful. I did a hunt on the west coast 2 years ago where I tore all my ligaments off my shoulder and I lost my balance and went over, but luckily there was a lot of sort of monkey scrub stuff and I managed to hold on, but I could have fallen 150 metres there. Yeah. And I had my backpack on as well. I had a 45 kilo, 50 kilo pack. Yeah. 40 kilo pack on my back. So. Yeah. I didn't feel that I was in danger, but I'm pretty good at holding on.
Yeah.
but I think you've got to be careful. And I think probably as you get a little older, certainly I'm probably taking things a little bit too blasé. So. Like elephant hunting, for example, can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially some of the places where you would chase them in the riverine jess and things like that, where you can't see them.
It seems amazing to think that you can't see an elephant.
Well,
I mean, it like how large they are and whatever else.
They are very large.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
And I've got quite bad tinnitus from a lifetime of shooting, so I remember once we were stalking a bull, we chased him all day backwards and he crossed the river 6 times. Yeah. We chased him because it was a problem animal control hunt, and anyway we were in this really, really thick stuff and we found a big pile of dung. We showed the finger in there, it was hot. Yeah. So he wasn't far in front of us. and I was standing right next to the professional hunter and the tracker was sort of in front of us, but we couldn't see him. Yeah. Next thing you know, he comes running this way past us all. And the professional hunter said to me, he said, "Robert, run." So that's what we did, we ran. This elephant, you could hear it crashing through and it crashed right past us. Wow. Yeah. But if it had been on the wrong line, he might have knocked it. He obviously must have got our wind. He had no idea where we were. Yeah. He just went, "I'm gone out of here." Yeah. And, so you just don't know how these things. There've been a few occasions where you get in the really thick stuff, and there's a lot of cow elephants and other things in there, and the best thing to do is just turn around and sneak out again, because you just don't know how it's going to end up, and there's no point in pushing it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who'd like to see me get stamped. That's fine.
Would elephant be the most dangerous animal you think you've hunted, or?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
What rifle did you use? Do you mind me asking?
Well, I've got about 3 or 4 different rifles I've used over the years. I've got a Holland. It's actually 4.58, a double rifle.
Yeah.
It's a Sfsp Centennial rifle, which I actually bought off a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously made in the UK.
Yeah.
In about 1982, something like that.
Yeah.
And I've got one. I've shot a couple of elephants with a what do they call it? Heim double rifle.
Right.
It actually fits me better than the Holland.
Yeah.
It's also in 4.58 Win Mag, because that just happened to be the calibre it was. Yeah. People say, oh, that's not traditional. It kills just as well as anything else.
Yeah.
And I've shot about 2 or 3 elephants with that.
Yeah.
And I built a 500 Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And if you want something that's really authoritative when it comes to finishing elephants or stopping them, that really works well.
Yeah.
Another reason why my shoulder wasn't all that good.
Yeah.
I had that rifle built. I got it built for me.
Yeah.
On a Johansson long action.
Right. Yeah.
And what's the other? Oh, I've got a 404 as well.
Yeah.
And I shot a couple of elephants with that as well. So.
Yeah.
And the 404 is really neat to shoot.
Yeah.
It's a bit like shooting a 30-06 really, but
yeah, okay.
So any of the above work really well.
Yeah.
And if you want to do the traditional stuff, well, certainly a double rifle's the way to go.
Yeah.
Especially if you do need a really fast follow-up shot, which I have had to do a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's very quick, very useful, and very handy.
Yeah. Certainly something. I've not actually even thought about hunting an elephant at this stage. I mean, my next the big game or dangerous animal I want to hunt, it will be bear. So, and it probably will be in Russia. I'd like to go to Russia and hunt bear. So.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
The brown bear I shot in Alaska, I've been to Alaska 3 times hunting. Each time I buy all the tags.
Yeah.
I passed up a few bears in the early trips, and then when I found the one I wanted, then I shot him. But I mean, it really wasn't dangerous in the sense that we stalked him in the thick stuff, and we found him, and I shot him 3 times at about 25 feet.
Yeah.
But the 338 Win Mag just smashes them.
Yeah.
But he didn't go down until the 3rd shot, so
right.
That shows how tough they are.
Yeah.
So there really wasn't any real threat from him at all. But I mean, if he'd got a chance to get a bit of pace on, he would have knocked us off. But
he
didn't get a chance to. I got the first bullet into him before we realised we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to shoot a bear with my bow, but at the moment I have to practice.
You want to practice a lot if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Bow hunting's very, very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, Tash has had quite a bit of success with it. She's done quite well.
I hunted a Nyala in Africa last year, and that was amazing. Ever since then, I'm just like, can we go back?
Yeah, well, they do a lot of bow hunting in Namibia.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that there. Every sort of water hole or whatever it is, or whether it's a dam or they all are set up for bow hunting.
Yeah.
Well, we did because they did tell us that we can sit in a hide or anything like that, and I was like, no, I want to spot and stalk it like we do usually. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We took about 3 days to spot and stalk a Nyala, and actually we were chasing one the first day, through this little dry riverbed that they were frequenting, and second day we turned up and the Nyala that we were chasing was dead. Black mamba bite or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So ended up getting my one on day 3, and then after that the guide told me that I can take the head from the one that died as well because they weren't going to do anything with it. So I'm getting a Zulu shield mounted with a shoulder mount of my one and then a skull mount of the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
it's going to look really cool.
Yeah.
You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done well. Yeah, and it's not easy, like you say, bow hunting.
Takes a lot of patience.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean,
you've got to be ready to be disappointed, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I film a lot of it, and I tell you what, I've been disappointed a number of times.
Well, I mean,
Just
for me,
filming.
I need to be within 40 yards because I'm not that strong, so I need to be within that distance. And there was so many days where we were within 50 yards or 48 yards, and it was just that little bit too far, and we were sitting there for hours and hours and hours trying to wait for them to come closer to us, and then they'd go another way.
Yeah. It's pretty hard.
It sucks, but it's really rewarding at the same time.
Well, I just put the bow down and pick up a rifle and you'll be okay.
Yeah,
that's exactly what our sister said.
Yeah, that's what Jess does.
Yeah, Jess said I could have shot that thing 5 times already. Yeah, and been home for lunch.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the SFFP and the politics around what's happening. I guess for us, and it's something kind of close to us as well because we do a lot of advocacy stuff, and we see that as almost like a requirement for our business at the end of the day to present. Not just hunting but fishing, subsistence, all of that kind of stuff. And the need for farmers to have this stuff, taking place as well, to present it to the community because of the urbanisation and everything else that's out there. And I know my general feeling in this is that if we don't start to push back on these things, then they'll just go down the route of like a 1080 or and just...
Well, it's even worse than that because I think what you'll see, and you're seeing it develop in Europe where, I mean, there is no... Put America aside, which has sort of got its hunting rights sort of tied up with its shooting rights, whereas we have no rights in Australia.
Yeah.
So everything we want, or we want to retain or develop, we have to fight for. In the school of hard knocks, and they have hard knocks there too. But in the sense that we don't have any constitutional protections, we don't have a history of conservation and management of the animals that we like to hunt.
Yeah.
Because they're all pests here by definition.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had a lot of trouble in the early years explaining that to the safari club guys. You know, your conservation concepts are turned on their head in Australia.
Yeah.
Every deer, every pig, no matter what it is, if it's not native, it's a pest.
Yeah.
And so you're always arguing with people why these animals are useful.
Yeah.
Why they should be conserved, at least to the point where people can shouldn't be exterminated if they're on someone's property.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I think probably the same goes with farming too, because people, especially the urban society that we are today, and increasingly removed from the realities of what farms and farming are all about. I don't know what you see here in Tasmania so much. I suspect it's like New South Wales. The difference between Sydney and the bush is like chalk and cheese. In Sydney you've got a very, very diverse cultural background. You've got 50, 60, 70 cultures all mixed up. You walk down the street where I live and you mostly see Chinese or Asians of some sort.
Yeah.
And I've been living in the area for 45, 50 years.
Yeah.
And I've got no objection to that, but how many of these people actually culturally get out past the Blue Mountains in New South Wales and go out into the bush and see and know and understand?
Yeah.
Look, increasingly they will only do it if we push them to do it, if we're talking to them, because they love it as much as us, but they're very much engaged in the early part of settlement into Australia. They're working hard to make a dollar to try to establish themselves as a family, just as my parents did when they first came to Australia. So it is incumbent upon us to push hard and push hard back, and the only way we're really going to do that is to make sure that we don't let the elitists who have all the say and have all the money get away with it. And that's why it's our view that we're the only party that actually advocates for the bush. Anywhere in Australia. I mean, people say, "Oh, what about One Nation?" One Nation is a protest party. It's a party that was based on racism. We don't care where you come from. We don't care who you are. We don't care whether you're male, female. We don't care whether you're a homosexual or whatever. None of that's relevant. As long as you understand that the bush is where it all starts. And if you like to hunt, you like to fish, you just want to go out and sit on the mountaintop, that's fine. But don't tell other people what they should or shouldn't be doing. And a lot of it gets down to ordinary common sense type stuff as well. So, you know, we used the slogan in the last campaign, we're biased for the bush.
Yeah.
And that's really what it got down to.
Exactly.
I don't care what you want to say. If you're not biased, if you don't start showing bias for the bush, within a generation you'll have no farming at all in Australia.
Yeah.
Certainly not in New South Wales, which is basically a desert state. So it's not like Tasmania, I suppose, but it's you know, it really needs to be fought for, and there is no other party. I mean, again, talking politics, the National Party in New South Wales long ago forgot about its bush roots, functionally anyway.
Yeah.
They'll talk the talk, and when they're in power, they'll walk the walk by throwing money around, but in the end, I think they've got one farmer in the whole of the New South Wales Parliament.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's probably about 13 of them in the lower house and 6 or 7 in the upper house.
Well, we all know about Barnaby's extracurricular activities.
I'm not going to judge him on what he does in his spare time.
It's not farming, that's for sure.
No, well, that's right. He's certainly ploughing in different ways than you and I would. But look, in the end, I don't begrudge him. If that's his stupid gig and he wants to have more kids, and then that's fine. But he's not doing the right thing by his electorate.
Yeah.
And he's you know, I don't know. Anyway, but he's. What he should
but
be doing.
it all comes down to focus, doesn't it? I mean, like at the end of the day, if you're focused on the community you're involved with, you know, then and your heart is in that place, you know, you're representing those people and you're holding a standard.
Well,
you know, at the end of the day,
that's right. But I think part of the problem, especially with the Nationals, is that they're not the government. They are in government, but they're not the government. The government is the majority of the of that coalition, and that's the Liberals.
Yeah.
And they call the shots. And you know, that's just the way it is, and we're seeing that in New South Wales. We're seeing a lot of propaganda coming out of the Nationals now that we're presenting a challenge to them, and we will present a challenge at the federal election too. We, given the proximity of the state and the federal elections this year in New South Wales, we weren't able to do very much, but we ran a half-baked campaign in the federal election, just one seat.
Yeah.
And without even really trying, we got 17%, nearly 18%.
Yeah, right.
So we are going to have a really good shake at it at the next federal election. And I don't know whether it's 3 or 4 country federal seats. Well, if we can find the right candidates, they've got to be the right candidates, we will give it a good shake. I think we know how to campaign.
Yeah.
We do it very well. We're very professional, we're very measured, we're very careful, and we're quite well financed. So
yeah, okay.
I think we can give it a shake. Whether we win a seat or not, I don't really know. In the past, our preference would have been to get an upper house seat, a Senate seat in Canberra.
Yeah.
I've completely flipped over on that now. I reckon we'd be better off with a lower house seat if we can get 1 or 2 if we're really lucky.
Okay.
And we do the job properly.
Yeah. So long term, what's the ultimate vision for the SFFP? Like, is it just a number of seats? Is it just
certainly the longer term in New South Wales is to increase our footprint, both state and federal, as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
We know we're being affected because we're seeing now the government, the Nationals in particular, both at a state and federal level, starting to pinch our ideas.
Yeah.
In our campaign. I mean, that's the classic way. I mean, you see it all the time with the major parties.
Yeah.
Long term is to get people elected here in Tasmania.
Yeah.
Get people. We've already got people in Victoria, but to grow that.
Yeah.
Same in Western Australia. Queensland's a bit harder, but we've got a very enthusiastic team up there.
Yeah.
Northern Territory, I'm not really sure about, but the whole idea is to get as much as we can everywhere.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Excellent.
And if we do that, well, then we can obviously make some inroads into it and influence the politics of what we say we're a centre-right political party.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much in that space anymore politically. Certainly the Liberal Party are very much a left of centre on a lot of issues.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Labor Party just gone to
got 2 lefts.
Gone too far to the left.
2 left majors and
and
a lot of minors.
Then you've got the Greens who've been really sort of pushing the agenda and the envelope to the left for so long it's ridiculous, to the point now where they're destroying agriculture, they're destroying forestry, they're destroying. You know, we're now seeing, you know, all this nonsense with climate change. That's the latest, of course, and greatest thing, that every prediction you get is, oh, the world's about to the end, and now we've got the climate change emergency and all the nonsense that comes out of that.
Yeah.
But none of those people know what they want when they're talking about that.
Well, they don't.
You go to the rallies and they're like, oh, we want things to change.
Well, change to what? That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm old enough to know what communism was like, and I've seen socialism and through a communist model being exercised. And if you want to see real poverty, go and live in Venezuela.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go and live in a socialist system.
Yeah. How do we affect the youth? I mean, from my perspective, I've taught my own kids, you know, and I guess, you know, the Greens would look at me and say that I've indoctrinated them, you know. And
they don't do the same?
Yeah, of course. You know, I guess one of the things that I see, and I work a lot of my other work outside of hunting and everything else is in the city, and you see these young guys in the city and whatever else, and they are so detached from anything to do with hunting, fishing, farming, you know, rural lifestyle. You know, their idea of doing something in the outback or you know, is to go and do a manicured walk, you know, on some track that's on an app, you know, and gives them a fully guided tour of where they've got to go.
I mean, it even goes down to, like, walking through Melbourne the other day with you. You see that they've put a big park in there and they're like, oh, look, we have all this nature, but they have things around the trees so no possums can get up them. So nature's not actually allowed there.
Yeah.
There's no animals allowed.
They do the same in Sydney, that's right.
Yeah.
Because they don't want these old trees destroyed by possums, you know.
Yeah.
But hang on, I thought that's supposed to be natural.
Yeah.
They're natives, you know. Why can't a possum crawl up there and chew the hell out of those trees?
So what I see, I guess, Robert, to kind of shorten that and give you the ability to answer something, but what I see is that we're continually minimising the capacity for people to understand nature and minimising the capacity for them to understand the rural lifestyle. And because we're urbanising everything, and this, I honestly, the biggest lie ever sold, I think, is the Disney lie at the end of the day. You know, we're constantly humanising animals and humanising nature, and I don't see how ultimately, I guess I don't have an answer how we affect that in a big way. You know, all of these other people are looking at, like these climate science bloody extremists and everything else. They all put these big things on it. We try and be honest and we try and be clear and we just say, hey, wait a minute, you know, here's the sensible stuff.
Yeah, look, I think look, there's no simple answer to this thing. I mean, this sort of process has been going on, or this push has been going on for decades and decades and decades. And it's a political movement that is based in a desire for cultural change. And that's the way I see it. There's increasing levels of wealth around the world. There's a good book called The Road to Somewhere. Get a hold of that. I can't remember who wrote it, but have a read of that. And basically what it's saying is that the whole world now is really turning into a bunch of people who, especially in Western societies or even the other societies, they all live somewhere, and it's getting harder and harder for them to make a living. And to keep things rolling forward. So they're very focused on the now and the here. But then there's a very large and growing group who can live anywhere and do whatever they like and afford whatever they want. And I suppose you might say this is the elites have always had the power, but that's actually starting to change. And the book's are really based around what happened in Brexit. There's a couple of other books written around what happened with Trump. So I think what I'm getting to saying is that there is, just as there was a long, slow boil with the Green movement, you know, originally wishing for the best of intentions to make society a little bit better, a bit more focused on, it's gone to the left's social agenda and social Marxism. So over time, if we push the political barrow, it's not something that can't be done, it's something that will be done. In other words, there's still 51%, 52%, 60% of people out there who are ordinary people like you and me, who all we've got to do is keep doing what you're doing right here now, what we're doing with our party.
And you think we'll see that swing back?
If we will see a swing back, or we'll see a balancing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, for example, that Trump will be re-elected.
Yeah.
There's no question of that. Question is what happens after that.
Yeah.
You know, with Boris Johnson, he will go to the election, and despite the deniers in the UK not wanting a Brexit,
yeah,
and ignoring the desire, the democratic desire of the British people 3 and a bit years ago,
yeah,
they will walk away from eventually, for whatever their own reasons are, the European Union.
Yeah.
And we'll see the same thing develop here in Australia. I mean, we've done some research recently into political opinions around the major parties and the other minor parties in Western Sydney, Newcastle and Wollongong, because these are areas where traditionally a shooters, fishers and farmers party hasn't done all that well.
Yeah, okay.
And what we've found out is that there's plenty of opportunities, depending on how we message.
Yeah, okay.
With people that basically got the same fundamental values as us, but they don't know where to focus and where to go.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a matter of continuing the process and the political battle, and continuing the communication through, I mean, the internet and social media.
Yeah.
Hasn't only benefited the left; it's benefited the right too.
Yeah.
You've only got, you go back to look at what Trump's done.
Yeah.
You know, Trump has become the master of, you know, the grab.
Yeah.
And the insult.
He's pretty funny.
He's because he doesn't need their money and he doesn't need their support.
Yeah.
He's appealed over the heads of the elites and gone straight to the people.
Yeah. Love him or hate him, I actually enjoy his jibes.
No, I love him.
I think he's fantastic.
He's set a business model for all sorts.
Yeah.
I just wish that we had as much money as he did and we didn't care.
Yeah.
We could do what we like too. But look, I'm actually the opposite. I think these things, swings and roundabouts, as long as you're prepared to engage and push back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing. The trouble is that there still is a very large, especially on the fishing side of things.
Yeah.
There's a very large group of people there that simply take fishing for granted.
And there's a lot we can lose.
And there's a lot to lose, that's right. I think on the farming side in New South Wales, especially with the drought there, and the focus that we've been able to bring in a very short period of time, political focus that is, to what the effects of city-based decision-making has had on the ability of farmers to survive drought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear in New South Wales now that the drought we're suffering was started by nature, but it's been made worse by government policy and politicians.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, as recent as this morning, Helen Dalton, our member for Murray, was talking about exactly that on Alan Jones on 2GB.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and it's shocking their reaction time on this stuff as well. I mean, you know, they've been bloody hopeless.
That's right. And look, the reality also is that from a media point of view, the 24-hour news grab doesn't help.
Yeah.
But I know from my two sons, who are 34 now, they get most of their news not off the traditional sources. They get their news off exactly what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Off various podcasts, whether it's what's his name, Ranella, or whether it's some of the other American ones.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, that's the name. I don't have time to listen to all those people, but
Joe listens to us, mate.
Does he?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
Hello, Joe.
I really don't.
Hello, Joe. I love your work, mate. Certainly, my son's always quoting him to me.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, there's plenty of opportunity there. It's just a matter of enough people doing it to keep the thing moving, and you need the political representation. You need the numbers in the institutions.
Yeah.
And the Greens learnt that long ago.
Yeah, they did.
The trouble with the left is that the Labor Party sold themselves out to the Greens, so that they've completely lost the plot now as far as certainly politics in Australia and New South Wales especially is concerned, because the Greens have usurped the far left of their politics. And now that we saw what happened in the last federal election here in Australia, that the Labor Party tried to out-green the Greens, and especially when it came to radical left-wing policies, whether it's tax or social agenda or those sort of things. And
left a foul taste in the mouth of most of the voters here in Tassie, the whole Greens thing. So I don't know what Labor's going to do this next election, because if they do go with a coalition government with the Greens, I reckon that's going to be, it'll be the death of their next political movement.
Well, we're certainly our focus is on Tasmania now. I mean, the Tasmanian branch is being run by a bunch of very smart people. They're certainly looking for some encouragement, a bit of training and a bit of money, and we're going to try and provide all of those to them to try, with the right support locally, if we can find the right candidates.
Yeah, fantastic.
But they've got to be culturally the right people too. We're not interested in the Lambies of this world who will get up on one banner and then end up somewhere else
just
doing their own thing.
Polarised,
whatever's popular. We've got policies, we've got an agenda, and we want to work that through as much as possible. And we've got off to a very, very good start in the lower house in New South Wales, and we hope to be able to capitalise on that in the next federal election, and maybe hopefully again in the next state election in New South Wales. Fantastic.
Well, I certainly hope so too. Robert, we'll wrap it up there, and that's Robert Borsak, MLC, and leader of the SFFP. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you very much, Robert, for coming along and being on the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.